All right, well, we are just walking out of this building right here, which is the gymnasium where in 1946 Winston Churchill delivered really one of the most famous speeches of all time, the Iron Curtain speech here at Westminster College. If you haven't watched that episode, it's in the one right before this one. All kinds of interesting stuff that we got to see in the Churchill Museum and here at the gymnasium. Anyway, we're getting ready to head back over to the museum where Tim Riley, who is the director and curator, has pulled some pretty special items out of the vault that he is going to be showing us. Very, very excited. Winston's wit and wisdom. Churchill certainly had a way with words, so this should be good. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, we are going to go with maxims. When I get to heaven, I mean to spend a considerable portion of the first 1,000,000 years in painting, so to get to the bottom of the subject. Okay, let's see about socialism and communism. Socialism is the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy. That's a good one. Trying to maintain good relations with the communist is like wooing a crocodile. You don't know whether to tickle it under the chin or beat it over the head. Okay, oh boy. Women. This could be dangerous. Where does a family start? It starts with a young man falling in love with a girl. No superior alternative has yet been found. Okay. If I could not be who I am, I would most like to be Mrs. Churchill's second husband. This is actually kind of a neat addition that they put here in the museum, looking at Winston Churchill in pop culture and how he was kind of caricatured on these mugs and plates and different things like that. Like this one here. He was a character, that is for sure. Here are a few other World War II artifacts. So this is obviously what it looks like, just a newspaper announcing the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But here is the thing that really caught my eye. This is a clip and some ammunition from a .303 Enfield, and this was recovered from Dunkirk. How cool is that? Well, as I have said multiple times before, anywhere I go, I always try and find somebody who is smarter than me that I can learn from. And here at the Churchill Museum, that guy would be Tim Riley, who is the chief director and chief curator.
Right.
All right. So anyway, he has been really gracious to kind of let me in here today, and I've already learned so much. But anyway, we're going to go into the
Clementine Spencer Churchill Library. The library reading room is named after Winston Churchill's wife, who was an early supporter of the museum. So let's go in and check it out.
Awesome. Going to see some things that you typically wouldn't see on display here at the museum.
One of the lesser known talents of a greatly known man, Winston Churchill, was the fact that he was a painter. He loved to paint. He didn't come at it as a child. He didn't start taking a brush until age 40. But when he did, he pursued it with a passion. He created over 570 paintings in his lifetime. He was self-taught, loved the fact that he could go out into nature and observe the colors, the light, the reflections upon water. And it really helped him focus and sharpen his mind, his observation of the world, and how shadows and contrasts in nature helped him think about geopolitics and his statesmanship. And we see here a great painting that he did in 1937 entitled "The Boats at Conde Harbor." And Churchill has captured a moment, a sailor in front of his boat, docked in Conde Harbor, the famous South French port where the famous film festival is today. And if you look closely here, Churchill said in an essay in 1921, he wrote, called "Painting as a Pastime," that painting for him was like a joyride in a paint box. And you can see him having a terrific ride in the colors down below here. You and I might take up a brush and paint the water as blue, not Churchill. He saw, with his keen sense of observation, the blues, the reds, the greens, the light blues, the way the colors ripple and dance on the surface of the water fascinated him, and he was challenged to translate what he saw in nature through his mind into his hand, through his brush, onto the canvas. That process, that thought process, was the same way he thought about his speeches. Coming up with a concept, observing a thought, an idea, formulating it, and finding words, not colors and shadows, but finding words to move people. Winston Churchill loved cigars, and he spent a few days in Cuba, Havana, Cuba, in January 1946, not long before he gave the Iron Curtain speech at Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri. And as a gift to the great statesman, the government and people of Cuba presented the Honorable Winston Churchill with this box, a humidor, which you can imagine in 1946 was filled to the brim with Cuban cigars. There could be probably not a better gift for Churchill. Today, of course, the humidor is empty. It came to us empty. Churchill probably has enjoyed those cigars a great deal. But it's a reminder that before he came to Fulton to give that historic Iron Curtain speech, he spent a couple of months in South Florida, in Miami Beach and Cuba, relaxing, refreshing after many long years of World War II, and thinking about the next step, that of course being the drafting of the Iron Curtain speech and the warning of the looming threat to come. But he had some great cigars, courtesy of the Cuban government and people, and this is an eyewitness to that gift here, the box that once contained those cigars. It's a great piece.
All right, now Tim just showed me what might be my favorite piece that I have seen so far. Okay, so in February of 1945, Churchill and FDR and Stalin met at the Yalta Conference, and this top hat right here was a gift to a guy named Sir Andrew Brown Cunningham. And if you look, you see the signatures of Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, and it's a little bit tougher to see, and it looks like somebody just kind of scribbled on it, but that is the signature of Joseph Stalin. That is really amazing. All right, well, that was the National Churchill Museum right here in Fulton, Missouri. Pretty amazing place. Definitely learned a lot. Feel pretty fortunate to have been able to see some of those items out of the vault. Now, that is not the only history that is here in Fulton, Missouri. There's also this church here behind me. I'm not going to give too much away, but let's just say that the history of this church involves Nazis and incendiary bombs. But we're going to tackle that one in the next episode.